like every other little girl, was shown images of Barbie dolls, airbrushed movie stars, and Disney princesses whose waists are the size of their legs. These figures become what we want to be when we grow up. Not astronauts, firefighters, scientists, or doctors, but skinny. Women are told over and over again that the only way to succeed is to be thin and beautiful. These lies are repeated until eventually they become our truth, and we fall prey to them. At 15, I was diagnosed with anorexia. When I was no longer able to partake in my everyday activities because of my constant obsession with what I had eaten, what I had burned, if I could go throw up, how I could skip my next meal, or whether or not my weight went up or down by a decimal that day, I was admitted to a residential treatment program for eating disorders. Here, I learned about the countless flaws in our therapeutic system. At first glance, my temporary home seemed nice, luxurious even. But quickly, the house lost its charm, the girls their charade, and the staff their facade of family. What's left was a prison of beautiful girls clinging to the couch, sobbing over another denied plea to return home. My therapist here was possibly the coldest person I've ever met. She showed no affection or personal interest in any of her clients. She was our shrink, our psychoanalyzer, nothing more. Sadly, this is the norm. People say a therapist isn't supposed to be your friend. And in response I say no, they're supposed to be healers. Something that my definition of which has changed greatly in my recent experiences. This last semester, I had the great opportunity to travel to India with my class, to experience the people who lived there. While at the Sri Ram Ashram orphanage, we broke into groups of 3 with the children our age to talk about what had changed our lives most thus far. The 2 girls in my groups spoke with earnest enthusiasm about the incredible opportunities the orphanage has given them. One of the girls, Jaya, took the risk in telling me about her childhood before she came to the orphanage. She said she didn't remember much, but what she did remember was screaming, violence, anger, and yelling. As she told her story, I began to cry, but she looked me in the eye, put her hand over her heart, and said, "No, don't cry. I have a strong heart. You be strong too." Later, when I was talking to my teacher about Jaya, he said that they suspected she had blocked out the images of her abusive childhood home, and that when she first arrived at the orphanage, there was no humanity left in her. She was animalistic and violent, until one day she transformed into the beautiful, loving, kind, and caring girl that I had met, that preached bravery and strength of heart. In America, when children are abused, they are expected to grow up unhealthy, angry, in solitude, and depressed. I know many girls who were abused to much lesser extents, and yet every time they act up, the adults in their lives shake their head as if to say, "Well, what can you expect?" These girls are often on antidepressants and in therapy. Also, while in India, we were able to interview Rinchen Kondo, the Dalai Lama's sister-in-law, who spoke to us about the Tibetan nuns that came to her after being imprisoned by the Chinese government on their way through the Himalayas into India. When they arrived to her, they were in terrible condition. Their kidneys weren't functioning correctly because they had been kicked repeatedly, and their joints were injured from the treacherous journey. She said that pills could only numb the symptoms temporarily, but as soon as the effects wore off, the hurt was still there. She told us that the love of the mother was the most powerful healing tool of all, and that she was able to watch that transform the nuns and to become healthy again. Rinchen Kondo explained to me something that I had experienced but never been able to put into words, that pills, hospitals, and machines can never heal a saddened soul, but that only a loving soul can do that. Luckily, and surely not without struggles, I have been able to continue my path towards recovery from my eating disorder. I found another treatment program that became like a second family to me. I spent 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, with girls that understood what it felt like to hate themselves. Every staff member there had recovered from their own eating disorder and spoke to us about their experience. They made us feel safe. They cared for us, loved us. I believe I was able to heal so much there because the people around me proved to me that I could be and deserved to be loved. In my experiences in India, as well as in my own recovery, I have come to the conclusion that people can be healed. In the world of mental illnesses and eating disorders, there's often the question of whether or not we can truly recover and live our lives without the effects of the trauma. At the orphanage in India, I was awestruck by the trust these children so quickly bestowed in us. As people who had been so terribly abused and neglected, they opened their hearts to us as if they had never been broken. Their smiling faces gave me hope that deep emotional wounds can be healed by unconditional love. This knowledge has made me believe that I can at one point live as freely as they seem to. Knowing this, I have realized that in India, through all the poverty and unhappiness, they live with a sense of presence because of the love they give to one another. I have come to wonder if perhaps people who are abused, whether mentally or physically, by themselves or others, simply need to be shown love and compassion while in their struggles, so that they can learn to give that to themselves in order to be healed. I have come to believe with all of my heart that love, compassion, connection, and openness is the key to helping the anger and depression that plagues our society. We can be healed, and we can be happy. Many of us are just looking in the wrong places. Thank you.